Welcome to another episode, everyone. This prison was not built for survival. It is hell on earth. Check this out. Most people do not survive this prison right here.
Why don't they let you come in the hellhole? I thought you had to die to go to hell, but hell is right here. What would your reaction be? Life in prison?
Hell
I
is
haven't
right
got much
here.
life left anyway.
Bong Kuang Prison, Thailand's Bangkok Hilton of horror.
The next minute, he's just smashed it down on the fingertips of the inmate. He's going smash, smash, smash.
Damn. Look at this, bro. Look at this. They're beating inmates with something. But watch this. It gets worse.
No emotion at all.
In 1978, an Australian man named Warren Fellows arrived at a prison just outside Bangkok. Guards clamped heavy iron shackles around his ankles. He thought they'd remove them after processing. They never did. Fellows would wear those leg irons for the next 12 years. He later wrote that Bong Kuang Prison earned its nickname Big Tiger because it prowled and ate prisoners alive. But Fellows got lucky in one way. He wasn't on death row. Those inmates had their shackles permanently welded shut, carrying 5 kilograms of metal on their legs until execution day. This is Thailand's Bangkok Hilton of horror, where foreigners and locals alike.
The officer's taken me to the cell block. Got all these prisoners, and shouting, Falang, Falang.
Discovered that justice can look a lot like death. The Bangkok Hilton. The nickname drips with bitter irony. Bong Kuang Central Prison, established by King Rama VII in 1931, sits approximately 11 kilometers north of Bangkok along the Chao Phraya River. Locals gave it another name that feels more honest, Big Tiger. As one former prisoner explained, the Thais call it that because it prowled and ate. By 2018, roughly 6,000 men lived behind its walls. Many were foreigners who made one catastrophic mistake on Thai soil. Many were on death row, waiting in cells where hope dies faster than the prisoners themselves. The facility serves as Thailand's primary execution site, handling death row inmates and those sentenced to decades behind bars. Every prisoner entering Bong Kuang wears leg irons for the first 3 months. It's meant to break you early, to teach submission before you even learn the layout of your cell. But for death row inmates, those 3 months never ended. Not until 2013. What happens when you combine brutal heat, crushing overcrowding, and a
What the hell is that? What is he sticking up his butt? The police, bro, they tripping. They are abusing these inmates. What is he sticking up? He's shocking them with something. This is bananas.
punishment system designed to strip away dignity? You'll discover the answer soon enough. Step inside a typical cell at Bong Kuang. The space holds up to 30 men, packed so tightly they sleep in rows on the concrete floor. Bodies pressed against strangers' bodies. A single narrow window provides the only ventilation and light. The semi-darkness gradually destroys their eyesight over months and years. They spend up to 22.5 hours per day in these conditions. The air hangs thick with the smell of sweat, waste, and decay. Outside, the Thai sun beats down mercilessly. Inside, men slowly cook. The food situation reveals the depth of the horror. Amnesty International reported an average of 1 death per week at Bong Kuang, often because sick inmates calling for help at night received no response from guards. The official meals consist of
One death per week. That's a lot of death, bro, in one place, in one entity, in one situation, in one prison. 1 death per week. Per week.
bowl of rice and vegetables. Everything else must be purchased from the canteen. This created what prisoners called the chit system, a brutal internal hierarchy where money determined survival. Wealthier inmates hired poorer ones as servants in exchange for extra food. Those without resources turned to alternative nutrition sources. Australian drug trafficker Warren Fellows, who spent 12 years at Bong Kuang, described the reality in his book, The Damage Done. Sewer rats and cockroaches became the only nutritious food available to those who couldn't afford canteen prices. Men hunted vermin in the darkness, their desperation overriding their disgust. The contaminated drinking water spread.
Whoa. Did you hear that? They're eating rats and insects to survive. They have no food. They're eating rats and insects, bro. Rats and insects. I'm assuming they're killing the rat first. Oh, God.
Disease through the cramped cells. Foreign prisoners eventually organized charity drives just to secure enough money for basic sustenance. Guards wielded absolute power in this environment. Some were conscientious. Others encouraged torture and collected bribes for privileges like a spot near the window or an extra blanket. The worst punishment, according to Fellows and other survivors, was the kun deo, solitary confinement Thai style. We'll return to what made that particular hell so unbearable. But none of these horrors compares to life on death row. That's where the real nightmare began. Until May 2013, death row inmates at Bong Kuang wore leg irons that were permanently welded to their ankles. The shackles weighed approximately 5 kilograms. Imagine carrying that weight with every moment, every day, for years. The metal cut into flesh, creating wounds that never properly healed in the unsanitary condition.
Whoa. Oh. What? Look at this. They had that. Wow. They had the cuffs permanently stuck to them if he was on death row. And they said they weighed about 5 pounds each on each leg, walking around with that for 15, 20 years. Yeah. Whoa. Stay free, man.
Infections were common. The psychological impact cut even deeper. The chains made a constant rattling sound. Other prisoners could always identify death row inmates by that specific rhythm as they shuffled down corridors. It marked them. The iron reminded them with every step that they were already dead, just waiting for the bureaucracy to catch up.
Yeah, no shit. And this is in Thailand. And they said there's a lot of foreigners there. So people that went over there to Thailand, whomever, Americans, whomever, and made some mistake, as he put it, but whatever, caught some sort of case, committed some crime, or they are at least accused of committing a crime. And based enough on that accusation, they're living in this sort of situation, in these sort of conditions, where their life is in danger. People are dying once a week. Your life is in danger. And this sort of, yes, yeah, you think you're eating roaches and rats and spiders to survive. All bad. Stay your ass over here in America.
They couldn't exercise properly. They couldn't run or jump or move naturally. Even simple tasks like using the toilet became degrading ordeals. The government finally removed shackles from 563 well-behaved inmates in 2013, but the practice had already damaged thousands of men over decades. The physical scars would fade, the mental ones never would. Former death row inmates described feeling phantom weight around their ankles years after release, hearing phantom chains when they walked. As of March 2018, 510 people remained on Thailand's death row nationwide. Most resided at Bong Kuang, living in those same dark cells with 29 other condemned souls. Their legs now free, but their future still sealed. The lights stay on all night on death row. Sleep becomes nearly impossible. Guards need to see everything at all times. Privacy, like hope, exists only in memory. Yet even this wasn't the worst part of the Bong Kuang experience.
And when he was telling me, I was just thinking, great, I'm in prison.
Not everyone wearing those irons was Thai. The Bangkok Hilton earned its reputation partly through the stories carried out by foreign prisoners. Their accounts spread through international media, turning Bong Kuang into a symbol of extreme punishment. Warren Fellows' 1978 conviction for heroin trafficking between Thailand and Australia resulted in a life sentence. He served 12 years before finally gaining release. His book described guards who giggled as they delivered pulverizing blows. He wrote about watching men break mentally, their personalities fragmenting under the relentless pressure. Some embraced Buddhism, seeking inner peace. Others descended into madness. Fellows remembered men who simply gave up, who stopped eating even when food was available. He watched people die slowly in cells while guards ignored the situation. The Kun Deo, that
I'm sure a lot of people died in their cells, gave up on life, gave up on eating, gave up on fighting. And these sort of conditions, horrific, it's designed to break you and designed to stop you from fighting, and for fighting for your life. And people stop eating on purpose, just forget it, man. Just gonna go ahead and die. A slow, painful death, starving myself to death, but I'm just gonna go ahead and do that rather than live like this. What crime is worth something like this? Man.
special Thai-style solitary confinement he mentioned involved being locked in a pitch-black cell, barely large enough to stand, sometimes for weeks. No contact, no light, no hope. Men emerged from Kundeo permanently changed, their minds shattered. Alan John Davies, a British man from Derbyshire, made history for the worst possible reason. Arrested for drug trafficking in 1990, he became the first European to receive a death sentence in Thailand. He spent years in those welded leg irons, feeling the weight of execution hanging over every moment. Unlike Fellows, Davies faced the possibility of actually dying at Bong Kuang. He endured 17 years of what he later called hell before King Bhumibol granted him amnesty in 2007. He returned to the UK, forever changed. Jonathan Wheeler, another British prisoner arrested in 1994, received a 50-year sentence. He became one of the longest-serving Western inmates in Thai prison history, spending over 18 years behind bars. These weren't hardened criminals from violent backgrounds. They were drug mules, traffickers who made terrible choices and paid prices that exceeded reasonable punishment by any international standard. The question foreigners asked most frequently, how did they actually die? How did Thailand execute condemned prisoners? The answer reveals something deeply disturbing about systematic state violence. Walk down a corridor in Bong Kuang's execution building. There's a small red door. Condemned inmates pass through it on their final walk. Until 2002, they entered a room with a wooden cross. Guards forced them to kneel. Their hands were tied behind their back, secured to the cross. A white cloth covered their eyes. Then came the sound of a machine gun being loaded. The executioner fired from behind, aiming at the heart. Blood splattered across the walls and the floor. Since 1935, over 325 people have died this way at Bong Kuang. Most were convicted of murder, rape, or killing police officers. The psychological trauma affected everyone involved. Guards who witnessed
So that's their system of death row. Tie you up, bend you over, squat you on your knees, and shoot you with a machine gun in the chest, in the heart, bleed you out, blood squirting everywhere. Whoa, man, damn. I can't say that that's any worse than what they do in this country, sticking a needle in your arm or electrocuting you, sit you in a chair and tie you up to some shit that's going to shock you to electrocute you to death. It's no big difference. Uh, every method of killing someone is a horrible method. Same for any killer on the street or whatever. Any state-sanctioned killing is wrong and inhumane. And the people who put themselves in that position by committing certain crimes out here on the street, they were wrong by taking lives. And the way that they took the life was wrong. Whether it was a stabbing, you choked someone out, you shot someone, drowned someone, it's all bad. And none of them ways good.
executions. fellow inmates who heard the shots. Even the executioner himself struggled with his role. Chawaret Jarubun served as Thailand's last executioner by shooting. During his career, he personally executed 55 prisoners. He later wrote an autobiography titled The Last Executioner and co-authored A Secret History of the Bangkok Hilton. Jarubun died in 2012, carrying memories of 55 faces, 55 final moments, 55 lives ended by his hand. Even for someone trained to kill, the weight proved heavy. Thailand finally switched to lethal injection in 2002, joining most other nations that still practice capital punishment. The method changed, the finality remained. The last execution occurred in 2009. Since then, death row inmates wait in uncertainty. Will Thailand resume executions? Will sentences be commuted? Nobody knows. The psychological torture continues through that very uncertainty. Bong Kuang still operates today. Conditions have marginally improved. The permanently welded leg irons are gone. International pressure forced some reforms, but it remains a harsh maximum security facility where men serve decades in cramped cells, where the heat never relents, and where death row inmates still wait. So what do you think about the
Let me know what y'all think in the comments, man. That's over there in Thailand. Get caught in these other countries. Their prison systems are a lot worse. They're over here shooting people with machine guns on death row. Just outlawed this too long ago, recently. Just now catching up. They just outlawed this where someone is on death row, you tie them up, send them down on their knees, and shoot them to kill them. They just outlawed this a few years ago, whatever, 2009 or something, not that long ago. They were just doing this shit. And they didn't stop death row. They just switched to the electric chair or whatever. Wow, man. That was crazy. That's vicious. Eating rats and roaches or whatever they can get their hands, whatever animal or insect they can get their hands on to try to survive. So these are individuals that don't even have food. It's not the way anyone should live their life or want to live their life, man. It's just one person dying a week. People starving themselves to death on purpose to go ahead and die. Fuck it, go ahead and take me out. I just can't do this anymore. I just sit here and suffer in extreme pain and hunger until I pass away. These conditions must be horrific. If that's the alternative, if you'd rather take that route, torture yourself for a while until you stop breathing. Got to stay out of there. We seen the prisons over there in Mexico. They're all horrific. 40 and 50 people dying in the riot. It's no joke, bro. Stay the hell out. Stay safe and stay free, people.